Hello, welcome. We're going to play our senior matches. Just going to quickly check that our team is set up. In the end, we did get a bid for Boothway, but we've just decided to keep him. I think we just want to make sure we get promoted this season. And we've effectively got a team at this point. I think we can pretty much just deal with probably just about any injury crisis, to be honest, reasonably well. But then that combined with also having, I think we've got 4 treatments still. So it's we've definitely got a squad that can just easily handle anything pretty much combined with those 4 treatments, especially when we're 1.5 weekly leagues through the 4 weekly leagues as well at the moment. So Giello Calcio. Alright, so they're 9-4-4, 24-4, 10 against, plus 14 difference. They're actually pretty good. Bradford Academy, 21 wins, and then the 3 draws, and in all 3 of them they won the penalty shootout as well. So basically, won every match is one way you could look at that. Quite remarkable. I think we do have to bear in mind that this team is particularly good. Right, so they've got one striker that's absolutely clinical, but slow, and another one that's fast. So I think we want the slow one. The slow one's matched up to Boothway, which is what we want. The fast one is matched up to Octai, which is what we want. The central defenders are fast, but their fullbacks are slow. The DLC has actually got 85 speed, and then the DRC, 75 DLC. So I think Mizzachi is offset to the slower of the 2, even though they're both fast. I think loosely everything's just lined up. There's no change there to just sort of try and get a better matchup. We're just going to have to try and do it the old-fashioned way, so to speak, and to try to just watch the match more closely, try to get an edge. I was about to change something. I'll just leave it for a bit. One thing I was thinking is because the fullbacks are slow. One thing I might be able to try is to... I will try it. We haven't really done much. We've just had that long shot. So let's We scored. I don't know if that means that I shouldn't try what I was going to try. Maybe it does now that we've scored. What I was going to try was to, because they've got slow fullbacks, especially the right back that can't, it's quite bad actually, can't tackle either that well. What I was going to try was to hit it long, fast and wide, even though we don't really have AML and AMR, which isn't ideal for that, but just to, you know, we do have players that can run into that space still, and just to see if we could exploit those weaker players. Maybe we'll try that. Get a sense we might need a second goal to win this, so right, so what we'd be saying, it'd be direct and down the flanks. That was a great chance. I think one issue is that they can just wrap around us so easily because of the AML and AMR, and then they've got two strikers as well. Sorry about that. Right, I wasn't able to watch that part of the match, so I'm not actually sure if our plan is working or not. So we'll just have to continue and now watch and see if it is. I feel like at the moment, hopefully we don't concede off of this, because I kind of feel like at the moment probably just want to use a bit of logic to, okay, so we are able to get the ball up the wing pretty easily. I think that makes sense. We'll leave that. Oh, that's a great ball. Oh no, it's a great chance. Okay, I kind of feel like probably just want something more like that. Because we're just controlling the midfield anyway, because they don't have any midfielders basically. So I just wanted to get an extra body back because, well, because they have so many players forwards. I just don't really want to be outnumbered so easily when they launch it forwards. Wrap around us too easily. Anyway, managed to defend it. Obviously, that's just going to be the case of if they're playing the AML and AMR like that and they have a good team, good players, they are just going to be able to do that too easily. I think there is a question about, because of what we're doing, we're just hitting it forwards. I think we probably just want 2 strikers at this point as well. Both of them can just run into the channels. Because we're playing it like... oh no. Okay, we needed that. Alright, Mizarchi. I think we have the big question is... this Catania, I think he's okay at 70, but once he gets into the 60s, he probably shouldn't be out there anymore. Okay, we get a stoppage, and I think there is a question now with Mizarchi. Are we just putting another striker out there? I think we probably are. We can bring this guy back to midfield as well if we need to. So that guy's got some tactical flexibility. We've got the choice coming up, like for our last sub. Is it the case? Well, we'll wait to see when we actually do it. So I think we got this one sub. We are going to do it. I think we're just going to sub off Catania at this point for this guy. Okay, so we managed to make the tactical changes and get the win. I feel like that was alright, because they actually had the first 2 shots, I think, of that game. So it was 2 shots to 0. We ended up with, after that point, 8 shots to 5, getting the win. So, yeah, that was pretty good. I think, did we get a... Catania's out. So, in a way, he's out for 7 matches. He's our best defender by far. So I'm just gonna, I think what we'll do, I think it's a no-brainer at this point, just about. Yeah, I honestly think he is our most important player. It's either him or Mizarchi, but it's probably Catania. I honestly think at this point, just because the injury is so long, I think we are just going to use one of our treatments. So we got them all back now, and now we can reconfigure. Man, Pina's available. So I think, unfortunately, Bevan loses his spot. And then basically Harburg for Foe, and then Harburg for Pina. Yeah, so we're good. Right, just going to do a quick pause on this video, then we're going to play the next match. Okay, we're back and we're going to play another game. Right, we're just going to check the squad. Seems that we just recovered everybody from injury. We just want to make sure we're set up right. Okay, I think we are. Rapid Football Club. 753 +2. So yeah, in theory a bit worse than the team we just played, but probably still very, very capable of dropping points to them, I imagine. So they got two up front. One of these strikers is really good. The ARC. So he's lined up against Boothway, who is faster than. It's an issue, but he can tackle very good. So, and then the other thing is they've got three central defenders. Milovic is fast. The outer ones, yeah, they don't really have. So I think their weakest defender is probably this guy, and he's not particularly. They have a very good team actually, or at least very good. 5 players, 4 players. I mean, this striker is not particularly good. He's quite good, fast. They have speed. This guy's not that great. This guy, MC, is he MC? Yeah, and he's only got 24 passing. I don't know. On the whole, though, they're pretty good compared to the average team that we've been playing. They're individual players, anyway. Okay, we've got the early goal, which is really good. The keeper's not particularly good, which is a pretty... that's a weak point that we're totally happy for them to have. It's a bit of a weird match, to be honest. Not a lot has happened, and like it sounds weird, but it's kind of like the perfect situation, really. Like when you're winning 1-0, you just want nothing much to be happening. You want a whole lot of nothing, and that's kind of what's happening. Of course, they can just have one shot and score or whatever, but you know, like don't want to get complacent or anything, and if we can spot something obvious that might help, we definitely want to do it. But I think all I'm really saying is just when you have these type of matches where like nothing is really happening, it's just they're just fantastic, really, when you're winning. And it's also, it's not something that we've explored a lot, to be honest, but it's also a very legitimate tactical ends, like desired tactical outcome when you're winning a match, to make tactical changes to create this state. So with this state where just nothing is happening, the ball's kind of just stuck in the middle of the pitch. This is potentially a very, very, very difficult and frustrating match, by the way, if we didn't get that early goal. If it's 0-0 right now, like, it could be a very difficult match to be able to create chances without opening yourself up to potentially conceding a goal, basically. The fact that we've just, this is part of it, though. So basically, I definitely think you could say, like, we were lucky, let's say, to score that early goal off of our first shot, I think it was. There's some luck involved with that, you could argue, but, there's sort of luck involved with everything to some degree. So a big part of the game is just managing that. Like, we got lucky, identify the fact that you got lucky, use that good fortune to your, put it to the best possible use. Win the match because you got a bit lucky. A big part of it is effectively, you could look at it as something like luck management. So creating this, playing into, because we didn't start, the default state of this match was basically this stalemate situation. Leaning into that heavily because you've got a lead is just putting that bit of good fortune in the early match just to the maximum sort of advantage that you possibly can. So at this point, I'm kind of just inclined to just go with it. So let's just leave everything as it is, because they haven't even had a shot. They don't really have hardly any territory either. They haven't created any situation that's the slightest bit dangerous. It's just there's nothing to want to change, basically. I don't feel, especially when we're still creating chances ourselves. That was a reasonable one. I wouldn't say we've necessarily created any particularly great chances. Aside from the first one that we scored, was may have been close to that. Even then, okay, so they finally had a shot. We're happy to give that type of shot up, I think, but it wasn't a nothing chance. It was the type of chance that if they had 5 of those, I guess they score one. So, but we're not just going to completely, the fact that they had a chance that they get 1 out of 5 times or so, one that's all they've had the whole match in 60 whatever minutes. I'm not gonna change everything around because of that. Especially, like I said, we were creating enough that we were always a danger to score. And now I kind of feel like that's just game over. Like, they may just have another shot like they had before, and they may score, but they're just not going to get 2, I don't think. There's a better chance. And that's the one that they probably get 1 out of 3 times or something. So, something like that on average. That was a pretty tight angle. They wouldn't score that shot very often. Not past our keeper. Not with his 77 shot stopping and 69 parrying. He's just never gonna. He's generally gonna stop it, and he's generally not gonna deflect off of him into the goal, basically. So he's pretty much saving that every time from that wide angle. So we're totally happy to give that up. It'd be like a 1 in, I don't know, 1 in 20, maybe 1 in 15, but it wouldn't be scored very often, that chance. It wasn't a good chance against our keeper. Against other keepers, it's potentially a lot better chance. Particularly, basically, if they have low parrying or low shot stopping, or both. It's a much, much better chance then, because something can definitely happen. It's going to run out, but we're going to make a double sub now, probably. We're going to sub off Boothway. And I think we're going to sub off Pina. Mostly just because he had a yellow card. It's not that big a risk, to be honest, like at this late juncture. It's a great call. That's why we were talking before, by the way, in the previous video, I think, or maybe it was, I can't remember if it was today, either today or yesterday, very recent on the daily roundup, we got a training option for him, and we went with the option that got the extra point in the long shots because he has quite a lot of long shots. You get disproportionately extra good value out of that attribute for him in our sort of tactical setup and how we play. So Mizachi will finish the match. It's the first match in quite a while that he will actually have finished. Very interesting, this match conceptually, because it was really a stalemate at the start. We got that early goal, but we didn't create much aside from that. And I can completely see a different version of this match unfolding where it's we don't score that goal, it's 0 at half time, we've only had a couple shots, and we try to make some changes, and we end up, not winning, basically. And instead, we get that early goal, which affords us to just leave it, and then we end up, creating quite a bit more in the second half and getting a couple more goals, and just win 3-0. And that's potentially all just off the back of one. When you got a tactic that works, I think, like we have, at the moment, compared to the opposition and all that, you do need to try to have reasons for the changes you make rather than just doing random stuff. It really needs to be for really specific reasons, because mostly because if you're doing it for some very specific reasons and then it doesn't really work as you were thinking, you were going to do it because you don't want them to attack down the left flank or whatever, and then you make a change and then they still attack down the left flank, and then you're like, well, I guess this isn't working, and then you can just maybe undo it straight away. Whereas if you just try random stuff to see if something different happens, you don't really, you can't easily, it could just be a bad change, basically, and you've got no real easy way to measure that immediately. Your measurement as to whether it worked or not is basically the match finished and I didn't win, or whatever. That's your measurement. It's too late by that point. If you're doing random stuff, effectively, your ability to measure anything and to be able to still make other changes in time to be able to effectively get match results is just completely compromised. If you're doing random stuff, it's just, you got to wait, look, see what happens. And if you're doing it the other way around, where you're not just changing stuff for the sake of changing stuff, I think we should be more defensive, let's just be more defensive and let's just see what random outcome that is, or something like that. If you're thinking about trying to be defensive, but in a very specific way, and try to make changes to do that, if it isn't working out that way, that very specific way, you can immediately change it to something else or immediately change it back. And this is just an example of a match where I can see that we would have ended up not just trying things and not changing it back, persevering a bit, just because what we were originally doing wasn't working that great. You can just see this as a type of match. That was a type of match that would have baited you in to make some bad decision making. So I guess is what I'm saying. Baited us into the type of decision making where we're just doing different things for the sake of doing different things, which we're just trying to advocate. That's exactly what you shouldn't do, but it was definitely the type of match that could have lured you into that, I think. If we didn't have that early goal. But with that early goal, it just made it super easy, and then we just went 3-0. Very, very comfortable, easy match in the end. And they barely had a shot, I think, as well. They did have some shots, but they barely did anything, basically. Very, very comfortable win in the end. Just, yeah. Right, let's focus on this win in this match instead now. So, well, we got the goal. We got one fast striker who's a faster striker who's okay, one slower one who's also okay. AMC who's okay. MCs that are okay. Defensive midfielder that's very slow but otherwise okay. Right back okay. DRC bad. DLC bad. So basically, and their keeper's okay. So their whole team is actually okay, except both the centre halves are just horrible, just atrocious, pretty much, which is pretty good for us because we primarily we do a lot through the middle, pretty much. Like we do have wide players, but ultimately, what we control the midfield, and we typically a lot of our attacks just are coming through the middle, and this is very good to have for their two centre halves to be that weak. I was actually checking their players when we scored that first goal, so I didn't see how it happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened through the middle. That's the thing, like, how many goals are realistically going to happen without either of the two central defenders on the other team having nothing to do with it? Like, very rarely. So, it's a weird one. I'm inclined. I'm just going to hit pause because I feel like we should change something even before half time if we can, because it's a bit weird. It's kind of like the previous game in that nothing much is happening, to be honest, and we're winning and we're happy with that. But I think there is a difference between this one and the last one, where this team does have a glaring weakness, which is those centre halves. So I'm inclined to just do direct into space, like just to actually hit it long and just see what our forward players can do. Just do that for a bit. I'm not quite sure if it's actually working or not, to be honest, but the conceptual idea, we did have the sort of one chance come through and have a bit of a longer-ish shot. Another chance there. We have also maybe given up a little bit as well, so I'm not sure it's working out. I think one thing we'll do is we'll just lean into it a bit more heavily with the 2 strikers for now. I think there is a question about, I think we can sub him for Parmentier. Just because I don't know if that was a good move, by the way, because I think, what's his tackling, 64, and Lepartment is also 64, so yeah, and he's down below 80%, so I think that was okay. We just mostly made the change to be more defensively stable. So I feel like in line with this, what we probably want to do is just sub this player for Palmai, because he's a better just out and out, like hit it forwards, run onto it player, because he's faster and just better at he's 91 speed, so he's basically faster than everybody. So that's probably game. I think it was a good move in the end, that tactical change we did. I would say, I'd have to double check the stats before and after or whatever, but it definitely feels like we've done a bit better since it. That type of thing is about the best they've done as well, which is not nothing, because they did get the ball in the box, but again, it's just one of those situations, like we've got a 2-goal lead and they're sort of doing enough here that they might happen to get lucky and score a random goal, but they're just not going to score 2 goals. That's the thing. So we've effectively won the game, but we've already made our subs, so we can't really we're not, at this point there's nothing much left to do, just sit here and wait and win. Alright, there we go. 3 matches, 3 wins. And actually, well, compared to the previous 3, these ones were pretty interesting, to be honest. We actually did make tactical changes in 2 of them, and a lot, like, significant tactical changes, and won them. And the one in the middle really was a interesting match anyway, even though we didn't make that many actual tactical changes. It was still, I'd say, a very interesting match, just through the lens of getting that early goal and just really illustrating how big a deal that is, and you shouldn't underestimate the importance of getting an early goal. And and making sure that you really put that to your advantage as best you can, because you know it really is the case that like if you get that you really need to be, if you get a lead, you need to be turning that into a win as often as possible. So right, awesome. So 3 matches, 3 wins. Yeah, thanks for watching.